My best worst example is, if you want to be an idiot and do it in a closet where you're not going to affect anybody, it's not bad behavior. Right? It's only bad behavior when it has an effect or it is put to someone else. Right? So the interesting part here is that if you want to be an idiot and do it in a closet, then that's behavior. But if you want to do it with other people, that's bad behavior. Because there's a dynamic between two people that's occurring here. Other than property damage and vandalism, that kind of thing, it's usually between two people. So it's important that we understand, but it's also a problem because it interferes with educational progress, i.e., you know, what is your teaching period here? 40 minutes? 42 minutes? 40 minutes? How many people in the room get 40 really good instructional minutes out of a 40-minute period? Sometimes. But for the record, 0. How many people in the room get 35 good instructional minutes out of 40? 0. 30.
I was going to say science and gym I do.
Okay. Yeah. All right, so let's just up the ante a little bit. 30 minutes. How many periods do you have? 7? 8 periods?
We're in 100-minute blocks, so
Oh,
we're
okay.
not periods anymore.
Okay. All right.
And that's the education model for Ontario.
Right. Okay. So let's just pretend it's 7 periods because it usually is 7 periods times 40 minutes. You know, whatever the deal is. But let's use it as my math. Okay. So 30 good minutes for 5 out of 7 periods. We got one person who's not sure she can put her hand up.
Well, I don't really want to. I kind of don't fit the mold in school.
That's okay. All right. 25 good minutes, 5 periods a day. So you see where this is? We're already in the place where a really well-prepared lesson plan is now caca. Because I bet you the time you're losing is spent on behavior. Show of hands. How many of you, that's the problem? It's behavioral issues? Okay, what's the issue for all the other people then? It's, all right, I get that. Yeah, yes?
I think the question itself I found difficult to address because there's never just one answer. Depends what you're teaching, depends where it came from, it depends all kinds of things.
Right.
It's kind of hard to answer that I always get 40 minutes or I always get
Right.
30 minutes, you know what I'm saying?
All right, but I think, can you follow what I'm trying to get at? Right? A large part of the lost time is behavior. Now, I'm not going to tell you you're going to get 40 good minutes, but I bet you're going to get 30 or more. I've seen it. I've seen it. And if you're, it doesn't matter if you're JK or grade 8. I've seen it. So we have to also make sure that educational progress is taking place for the other students in the room, because that's usually what happens. And Katie's research, in fact, where did you go, Katie? Way back there. Katie's research, in fact, is going to pinpoint that for students. The very specific question she is going to ask, and we've asked this in a casual way in other research, and the students say 100% of the students who participated in my research previously, 100%, 69 of them, grades 3 to 8, said, I would get more work done if there was less misbehavior in my class. I mean, I'm happy that it was 100%, but I'm not surprised. And I randomly selected those children, so even within those children, there are probably a couple of the troublemaker types. But 100% of them said that. And they also said that they thought that students would like coming to school more often, or like coming to school more if there was less misbehavior in the school. 100% of them said that as well. So there is a price to be paid. The students' and teachers' emotional well-being gets affected and educational progress stalls. Right? All right. But we have to clarify what we mean by behavior. First of all, it is not random. It is never random. Every behavior a human being engages in is designed to either get something for themselves or to avoid something that they don't want. Everything. They are not engaging in random behaviors. They might look random. Then you got to figure out why. But they're not engaging in behavior for no reason. And once you get the sense that they are engaging in behavior for a reason, then if you can figure out the reason, by talking to them or doing some other types of things, you can incentivize their thinking about what they're doing. Right? And then you don't have to know why they're doing everything, but I would really like to know what I could do to get them to do what I want them to do. Right? Secondly, all behavior is learned, therefore all behavior can be changed. That's given. That's a psychological truth. Other than sucking, grasping, and an innate curiosity about the world around us, every behavior we engage in is learned behavior. It's not, that's the only three innate things we're born with. Yes?
Is that true for the children who are mentally ill or the oppositional defiant children that are not on?
Oh, yes. Well, there are some students for whom a chemical imbalance is their problem.
Right.
That's given. But that's a very small percentage of the population. Very small. And even they have a lot of learned behaviors. They've figured out how to manipulate the people around them and the world around them to suit their benefits. That's a learned behavior. Even students with severe, profound developmental disorders and autism have figured out how to manipulate their world around them, right? That's just human nature. But it's learned behaviors for the most part. So therefore, if all behavior is learned, then all behavior can be changed. The next thing is, these two go together. Behavior is contextual, it is not isolated. As I said, bad behavior in the closet, you can be an idiot if you want. Bad behavior with other people, that's a problem. So a large part of what happens to a lot of children, it's the age-old story, well, they seem fine in my class, but then you hear, not so fine in your class. Or, fine in your class, what the hell's going on? They're not good in my class. Because there is a contextual element and it's not isolated. So, and I mean this in the very kindest way, because I had to do this. You're going to have to say, is it possible that something that I'm doing is setting off my room? That's a hard pill to swallow. But as educators, we have to. And my comeback to my sort of corollary with that is, who's the adult in the room who has the wherewithal and can think about these things, and who is not the adult in the room who doesn't have the wherewithal and can't think about these things? Well, it's obvious. We're the adults in the room. So if anybody's going to make changes initially, it's going to be the adults in the room. But we have to step back a little bit, and I'm not trying to say that you're the cause of your problems. Never. But we do have to recognize that as individuals, we cast an aura in our room. And there are certain things for certain students, or even for all students, that just annoy the snot out of them and sets them off. The other thing is that behavior is reciprocal. I've met many of you here for the first time, just as example. Hopefully we've had a good engagement in the very first time we meet. And so therefore you have an expectation of me, and if I get to know you well enough, then I have an expectation of you. And our behaviors are reciprocal to each other. It's called getting off on the right foot. Oops, Freudian slip there. But it's more than that. It's not just getting off on the right foot, it's the who's the adult in the room scenario. Because if things go sour with a student that you're dealing with, they can't fix that. They can't. You can't expect the child to do the fixing. They're going to be either intimidated, or they're not going to be respectful enough, or they're not going to know what to say, what to do, how to think about it, what's right, what's wrong. So the reciprocity starts with us as the adults in the room.